In my last video we covered the Calliope, now it's time to cover its bigger and more brutalised brother. The M26 T99 is a rank 4 battle rating 6.3 premium medium tank located in the American territory. Just like the Calliope, the T99 is no friend of frugal people. As this premium is linked to the Calliope in the territory, you'll have to purchase the Calliope first, before purchasing the T99. This means you have to pay 9,740 Golden Eagles for the Calliope, and then an additional 5,990 Golden Eagles for this premium, giving it a total cost of a whopping 15,730 Golden Eagles. To crew the tank, it costs 10,000 Silver Lions, and to purchase the Expert and Ace qualifications for the vehicle, it will cost you 360,000 Silver Lions and 990 Golden Eagles respectively. The tank does have a relatively low repair cost of 5,000 Silver Lions however. Moving on to the rewards, and in realistic battles with a premium account, the Pershing has an RP modifier of 552% and a Silver Lion modifier of 420%. In terms of customization, there are several camouflages available to purchase for Golden Eagles, but sadly no Gaijin marketplace skins. In terms of lineups, the Pershing does have a range of somewhat powerful battle rating 6.3 vehicles to accompany it. However, you will find yourself updated to battle rating 7.3 fairly frequently, a battle rating where your performance is very poor. In this video we're going to cover the mobility, armour and firepower of the vehicle, before finishing with a conclusion. If you do enjoy these sorts of reviews, then please do consider leaving a like and subscribing. Starting as always with the engine and mobility, and the Calliope is powered by an engine producing 500 horsepower. Combined with the vehicle's weight of 42.5 tonnes, it gives the tank a terrible power to weight ratio of 11.7 horsepower per tonne. For a battle rating 6.3 medium tank, this is abysmal. It's as bad as the 6.7 Tiger II heavy tank. This pretty much prevents you from carrying out the role of a medium tank, that being flanking larger and more heavily armoured opponents, as in this thing, even heavy tanks can outcompete you in mobility. Moving on to the top speeds, and the T99 can manage a fairly respectable 48 km/h forwards, as well as a decent 15 km/h in reverse. Your awful power to weight ratio and rather average top speeds does leave the tank feeling slightly sluggish, particularly slow speed traversing, and in general to be honest. This tank is very poor to drive, you just feel bloated and non-competitive. This lack of mobility wouldn't be too bad if this was a premium heavy tank, but it lacks the high survivability and large alpha damage gun of a heavy, something we'll cover shortly. Moving on to the armour and survivability, and the M26 has a crew of 5 men, giving it pretty decent survivability, allowing you to lose 3 crew members before the vehicle is instantly destroyed. The tank is pretty cramped however, so a penetrating shot is almost certainly going to knock out the crew. It's also worth mentioning that the rocket launchers are an external ammo rack on this vehicle, meaning if they get hit by high explosive rounds, whether that is fired from a player or delivered by artillery, it does not matter. The result is a catastrophic ammunition detonation, destroying the vehicle. But moving on to the armor performance itself, and to test this, we'll be using the 88mm cannon found on the Tiger II-H. We are firing an APC-BC round, which is being fired at 500 meters. The Panzer Grenadier round struggles to penetrate the lower frontal plate of the Pershing at this range, but due to the practically flat armour of the upper frontal plate, the German gun doesn't even struggle to punch through the front of this vehicle. As you can see, providing only around 150 to 180mm of practical armour. The turret is a little bit of a mess though. Some places it's only around 100mm of protection, and in some other places it's over 250mm of protection. However, the majority of the turret is the former statistic, providing only around 4 to 5 inches of armour on the gun mantlet. While this will protect you in a down tier, most high calibre and chemical rounds found in and around battle rating 6.3 will not struggle to gib everyone inside the turret. Turning to the side of the tank, and the hull provides around 80mm of armour, and the turret around 75mm of armour. Overall, the armour of the tank is pretty weak, and when combined with the terrible mobility and the whole rolling ammo rack thing, it turns this tank into an incredibly vulnerable vehicle. It isn't fast enough to be a medium, and it can't rely on its armour to play as a pseudo heavy tank. It leaves the tank feeling lost in terms of its true battlefield role, but does the gun and rocket system make up for this? So taking a look at the weapons and ammunition, and the T99 is armed with the same 19mm M3 cannon as found on a number of other rank 4 American tanks. notably the T25 and the Super Hellcat. It has very good vertical guidance characteristics, with 20 degrees of elevation and 10 degrees of gun depression. Unlike the earlier American Shermans, this tank drops the short stabilizer. This device allowed you to fire accurately quickly after stopping the tank, and somewhat accurately when moving. Its deletion in the M26 design, due to a lack of space, is a major weakness of the American late war designs. But moving on to the reload, and we'll be taking a look at the reloading skill under the loader section. And we have a base reload speed of 9.75 seconds, which drops down to 7.5 seconds with an ace crew. Not bad, but by no means great. Moving on to the targeting skill under the gunner section, and we can see that you have a base turret rotation speed of 16.8 degrees per second, which rises to 24 degrees per second with an ace crew. Moving on to the modifications, and I want to point out that this tank does not get access to any sort of range finding equipment, meaning you will have to rely on your crew's estimation. This is very bad for this tank's additional weaponry, that being the 44 114mm M8 rockets. Like the main gun, the launcher has decent vertical guidance characteristics, with 25 degrees of elevation and 10 degrees of depression. The M8 rockets are unguided and, to be honest, horribly inaccurate. This does limit the usefulness of these rockets, as actually getting kills with them is very difficult. Not only are they hard to aim, but they also only contain 1.9kg of TNT filler, giving them 29mm of explosive penetration. These were pretty poor against batter rating 4-point tanks when used on the Calliope, and now you're at batter rating 6.3, and they're especially useless against most enemies. However, they can be used effectively against spags and those annoying little Italian fuckers. Your main gun is also rather underwhelming in my opinion. Your stock shell is a T33 round. This is a solid shot AP round containing no explosive filler, and it's capable of penetrating 148mm of armor at 100 meters, sloped at 30 degrees. Your next round is the M71 Shell. This is a nose fused high explosive round and will detonate on impact. It contains 925 grams of TNT, giving it a rather useless 13mm of explosive penetration. You also have the M313 Smoke round. These shells produce a smoke screen with a radius of 13 meters and last for around 20 seconds. You also have an APCR round, or armor piercing composite rigid. Like your stock shell, this is a solid shot round, meaning it contains no explosive filler. APCR rounds struggle to penetrate angled armor, which most armor at batter rating 6.3 is. Regardless, it gives you 216mm of penetration at 100 meters against armor angled at 30 degrees. And finally, you have the M82 APC BC shell. This contains explosive filler and has a cap as well as a ballistic cap. This results in not only better penetration, capable of punching through 137mm of armor at 100 degrees, angled at 30 degrees, and contains 137.2 grams of TNT, giving it fairly decent post-penetration damage, at least for contemporary APC BC rounds. Apart from the main gun and M8's rocket spam, you also have a coaxially mounted rifle caliber machine gun, which has a rather limited usefulness, as it isn't large enough to be used against tanks, and can't elevate enough to be used against aircraft. You do also have a pinto mounted 50 caliber machine gun, which is fired by the commander. This is a lot better than the coax, but is still rather limited in my opinion. To conclude, the M26 T99 is a terrible premium, in terms of both grinding and having fun. The M26 is a rather underwhelming tank at the best of times, and the addition of the rocket simply makes you more vulnerable to smaller vehicles, as even small caliber high explosive rounds instantly detonate the vehicle. The standout feature of this premium are the rockets, which as I mentioned at batter rating 6.3 are beyond underwhelming. While they can be used to harass an enemy, they are insanely close range, at least in terms of accuracy, and their measly explosive warhead does little damage to contemporary medium and heavy tanks. I cannot recommend anyone buy this vehicle. It is simply a waste of money, especially with the other great rank 4 American premiums such as the T99 and M46 Tigers rolling around the battlefield. The cost of nearly 16,000 Golden Eagles is also a joke, especially as you can buy around 3 $60 premium packs for the same cost. From the bottom of my heart lads, don't buy this vehicle. It isn't effective in game, the rockets are cool, but lose their fun factor after a number of games. The tank is slow and poorly armoured, and it has a poor lineup at batter rating 6.3. Overall I'd rank this tank a 4 out of 10 in terms of performance, and 1 out of 10 in terms of value for money. Alright lads, thank you very much for watching this video. What do you guys think about this vehicle? If you have any questions or suggestions to improve the channel, then please feel free to leave a comment below. I now have community memberships enabled for the channel. If you'd like access to behind the scenes footage, as well as access to content a few hours early, then please do consider becoming a member. I'd also like to mention that I now have a Twitch account, where I stream pretty frequently. So if you'd like to follow me there, my Twitch handle is SAKO Sniper, the same as this YouTube channel. But if you do enjoy these sorts of reviews, then please do consider leaving a like and subscribing. But more importantly lads, I hope you have a great day, and thank you very much for watching.